Hi everyone, this is Neil from LINQ. Welcome to this discussion video where we're going to take a look at some of the new connection rules that we've just released into LINQ. You'll no doubt be familiar with our language. LINQ consists of capturing 4 entities inside your organization to build an information supply chain and to describe the flow of information through it. So we're thinking about actions that create information, that support the next action, that create derived information, and so on until we create our final information asset, and how the flow of that information is enabled by systems and people. In your capture to date, you'll know that there is a one-to-one relationship between people and actions and information. And while this has provided a robust way of ensuring that capture is done correctly, it's rather inflexible, and we have become increasingly aware of scenarios where we need to extend the language. The release on the 24th of March does exactly that. We've enabled a many-to-one relationship between people and actions and information. And whilst that does increase the level of flexibility, it also means that there's an opportunity to get things wrong. So what I want to do is run through some scenarios that we've put together, some examples of what happens today when you do this and how that's going to change in the platform on the release, and just help you to think about some of the situations you'll come across inside your own organization and how you can take advantage of this new capability to make sure that the insights that you derive through our dashboards remain correct and that you are capturing the current state inside your organization. Okay, first off, let's remind ourselves what you will have seen as you've been doing your capture and you've encountered this issue today, which is here I have 2 parts of my information supply chain for customer sign up. I've got a self sign up process where customers come onto my website and sign up to my application, and over here I have a manual process where customer admin team is involved. The result of this sign up is that we create this preferred customer record, and that comes from this add preferred customer action, which also exists over here as part of my self sign up. And naturally I want to take this action and connect it to the preferred customer record, but LINQ won't let me. It says that a single piece of information can only be created by a single action. And that is indeed true in most circumstances. If we have different systems performing different actions, they do not create the same piece of information. If we have different people performing different actions, they also do not create the same piece of information. But this inflexibility in our rule has meant that in order for me to fix this problem, I would have to create a piece of information and connect this information to action, because supply chains converge at action nodes. This means this piece of information, which may not exist inside my organization, means I'm no longer capturing the current state. I'm having to include something in my supply chain which doesn't really exist. And that's wrong. So this is what we have fixed. In fixing it, we now enable you to take the action, the add preferred customer action, and connect it to the information record that it supports and creates. The new connection rule dialog pops up, which helps with a smiley face now rather than a frowny face. And when I connect this up, my supply chain will indeed connect together. But this, of course, introduces the opportunity to get this wrong. And so I just wanted to run through some scenarios to help show how this many-to-one relationship between actions and information should work. Okay, just let's take a look at this very simple one to start with. We've encountered this scenario several times in engaging with people. This is a law firm. They have partners and secretaries who both are able to enter time against the client account, which creates a client time record in the time management system. So this action is exactly the same. The only thing that is different is the duration and frequency with which they occur. The secretary, who has an hourly rate of $40 an hour, she only takes 10 minutes to do this and does it 800 times a year. The partner, whose hourly rate is $500, takes 15 minutes and it happens 200 times a year. So although the action is the same, the duration and the frequency are different, but the result of either the partner or the secretary performing the action is that the client time record inside the time management system is updated. So this is a valid scenario. Before we made this change, I would have had to have duplicated the client time record, and I would have had to have created an action such as reconcile in order to bring my supply chains together in order to represent what I wanted to capture. And that is another example of content that may not have actually existed. So this many-to-one relationship helps resolve this. The other change we've made in this release is to enable a many-to-one relationship between people and actions. Previously, the one-to-one relationship meant that in circumstances where you had an action such as a meeting, which takes place at the same time every week for a consistent duration, where many people are involved in it, you weren't really able to describe who those people were. You could aggregate the cost of them, and you could calculate the duration and the frequency of the action in order to get the cost, but you're lacking insight about who is involved. By enabling this many-to-one relationship, you can now explicitly describe the people that are involved in this action. So the valid scenario for this is where the action is the same for everybody, and the duration and the frequency is therefore the same for everybody involved. Each of these individual people carry their cost. We can still accumulate teams if we don't want to use full detail. So in this case, I've got some customer service reps, 8 of them at $50 an hour, to calculate an hourly rate of $400 an hour. And now when I associate these with the action, the full action cost is calculated for me. So this should allow you to be far more accurate in your description of the people who are involved in your supply chains. The combination of these two new many-to-one rules means we have more flexibility in the capture of our supply chains, but it also introduces the opportunity to get things wrong. So I just want to finish off with a quick scenario and discussion about the same supply chain but captured two different ways. This is how an organization engages with customers. There are 3 channels: a face-to-face channel, email channel, and a phone channel. So these are people just talking to either the reception team or the customer services team. And what they end up having to do as a result of the conversations they have is log the inquiry into the CRM to update the client engagement record. And I have added the 2 people nodes to the same action. And this is potentially wrong, because this would suggest that it wouldn't matter which channel the customer engages through or which team, customer services or reception, is doing the logging. That logging takes exactly the same time for everybody. I would come into my action and I'd say it takes 10 minutes, and I happen to know that we do 50 of these a week across all channels, and that's how I'm going to calculate the cost. That is more than likely incorrect. We probably have more people emailing, and then people phone, and then people come in face to face. And we'd probably want to account for that through our supply chain. So just, even though I can just connect these 2 people nodes, team nodes, into this action, doesn't mean to say that I should. So this is the more accurate way of representing this supply chain. By using the many actions to one information connections, I'm able to explicitly describe how these actions differ through these channels. So for example, I know that logging an inquiry via email is really fast. It only takes a minute. We do 1,500 of these a year. Logging an inquiry verbally through a face-to-face conversation, well, my logs tell me on average this takes 30 minutes and I do 400 of them a year. And when it is a phone call, it's 15 minutes and I do 650 of them a year. By accounting for the cost of each of these teams and the people involved in them, I can get an accurate cost for this part of my supply chain, $98,000 a year. So this is the more accurate way and provides us an insight where we're now able to account for the quantity of information flow through each of our channels. And of course, we could extend this now even further by using the many people to one action capability, by, if we needed to, explicitly recording the people who are involved with each of these actions. So rather than just using a generic team, I could start dropping these in. I could record their costs in order to properly understand who is involved and how much time they take to record these actions. The result of using many people performing one actions has an implication for dashboards. So in our very simple scenario here, if I go to my people dashboard and I pick any of my people involved, when there is an action shared, we identify that for you in the action summary. It tells you what the action is and who the other people are who are involved in it. So look out for this inside the dashboard when you start using many people to one action. Both of those new capabilities have been written up in our Learning LINQ forum, which you get to through support.linq.it. Just look for the connection tips. And of course, you can raise a support ticket through the application if you have any questions about how to make use of this new capability. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that's been really helpful. If you've got other topics that you'd like us to cover using this forum, please do let us know. And if you have any other feedback, of course, please drop us a line at support@linq.it. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks very much, and we will speak to you again soon.